number, depending on how long your fight's going to last. Every time that you move or anything that takes you away from casting or using an ability is time that you're never going to get back in that fight that you have now wasted. Which, again, is why thinking about movement and so on is so important. Anyway, I'm going to go back to this at the moment and show you, breakdown on targets. Up at the top, under damage done, you can look here. It says done to enemy on both of them. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to look at each thing. Doombringers are very important. They're the Infernals in this fight. They're high priority targets. So I'm going to look and see, who did what on there. On this fight, you will look and see Rutzo did 3.66 million to them, and I did 2.87. So it's kind of similar, but he definitely did more. And let's look at what he used to do that more damage with. So on these, I've done 12 casts of Lava Burst, and he did 10. So I got more Lava Burst casts than he did, but yeah. Looking at Earthquake, that's where he's getting some more of his damage in from it. It's not a whole lot, but that's where our break comes in. And I'm now going to go back and look at a different one. You don't even have to go back. You can just go up to the top, as you see on the left here, Infernal Doombringer. I'm going to change that to Void Stars. I'm going to look at their whole group again, just to see in comparison who's doing what. You will see here, he did about 5% of the damage done to them. I did about 8%. So, we're both doing in and around the same, depending on our raid group and whatnot. We're both attacking equally on this and so on. So, there's not a whole lot of variation there. There's not much reason for why I'd be losing that badly on him, or to him on this, due to ads, unless you consider the dogs again. Because that's definitely where he's getting a lot of damage from. Generally, this is how you're going to look at logs and figure your stuff out. Like, you're going to go in, you're going to compare how many casts have been done and so on like that to figure out if you're doing similar to the people ranking high or if you're doing not so similar. If you start seeing big disparities in casts, that's where you need to start figuring out how they're doing it. So, I'm going to go back for a second to just our regular damage and assess that real quick again. Because again, you can look at the spell breakdown. Top one for him, like I said, was Flame Shock. Top for me is Lava Burst. Let me see here. Give me 1 second, sorry. My mind's kind of going at the moment. Generally, it's a good idea to go down and start checking your spells and seeing, again, comparing the cast count and the overall damage that you deal with them in comparison. So I'm not going to actually go over all that with you guys, just because you don't need to know everything about a shaman at the moment. That's not what this is for. This is more to teach you guys how to use the logs. So yeah, give me one other thing with the logs that you can do. You can actually zoom in on time frames here. Like, as you see, the blue here is where people use heroism. You can look at like openers. So if you look at this here, I'm going to zoom in just for this part. You do this by clicking and just dragging it to where you want it to end. So we'll go about the first 30 seconds or so, and I didn't actually get the very full part of that. So on both of these, the zoom is set to about 2 seconds in and 42, 43 seconds into the fight. This will show you only the spells casted at this time. So you can compare our openers and see, how well we did with that. As you see, he casted 2 Flame Shocks. He probably switched to... Actually, we'll see what he switched to. It was to a Deathcaller and an Archimonde. You can mouse over these and see what all they're hitting and whatnot for the entire encounter. You can do that for any part of it. At the moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up for people to ask questions, because that's like the basics of how you do logs. You can also look at buffs and so on. The buffs it's a lot to look through, so if you want to limit it to a class or a specific buff that you know what it comes from, that's a good thing to do. But you can look at buff up times. Like, for example, I was talking about the Unleash Elements on Balto earlier. That's actually what I'll do here. I'll show you that real quick. It's actually called Unleashed Fury. So if you look, I had 54% uptime on it, and he actually had only 36. So what that could be doing is, like I said, he's probably buffing his Flame Shock with it, so he's probably delaying it to buff his Flame Shock to make sure that it's hitting harder every time, which is making it so his Lava Bursts aren't doing as much every single time he casts it. So, you can look at that. You can look at, like, Weapon Procs, which is Mark of the War Song. His was up 47% of the fight. I actually had mine. Wait, I'm actually looking for... I didn't reset the zoom. Hold on. There we go. So yeah, uptime for me, again, I had about 56% on the Unleashed Fury, so it's about the same. Mark of Warsong, I got 9 procs of it. He got 11. Had the same ring procs, had the same Ascendance procs, which is the cooldown. Yeah, you can just look at the buffs and whatnot. It'll have offensive buffs or damage buffs up on top. You have defensive buffs beneath that, and it labels them all for you, so you guys can kind of look through and see what's happening there. If you want to look at deaths, you can also look at deaths. He didn't die. I don't remember if I did on this particular fight. Nope. So when you're looking at the deaths, you can look at... Actually, let's look at that real quick. I know I said questions. I'll do that in just a moment. I'm kind of scatterbrained. This is my first time actually doing this, and I don't like talking in front of people a whole lot at the moment. So, yeah, bear with me. I know I'm seeming a little nervous. So let's see. We had Infinica die on ours. You can look at it and see Rock Chaos, hit him. Let me maximize this. It one-shot him for only 175,000. Definitely doesn't have that little health. He didn't get any healing on it. Could've... So, that may have been Healer's issue. This is the kind of thing that you're going to want to look at, though. Like, whenever you die, you want to look at it. You can assess that if you got enough healing in the time, or, the logs are very powerful. You just need to know how to use them. Main thing that I was aiming for on this one was showing you how to assess your damage and whatnot. You can also look at the deaths. You can look at any of it up here. They're all fairly easy to look at, but damage assessment or healing for healing spells and whatnot, that's where you're going to look at a lot of the time to see what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. Anyway, at this point, I'm actually going to open these up to questions. Does anybody have any questions?
You should wait for the stream to catch up. A lot of people haven't been muted.
No problem.
How's the data getting over to Warcraft Logs? Is that an app, or is it somehow just Warcraft provides that and they're using that?
The way that it gets over there, give me 1 second. I will show you. I'm going to switch it to WoW at the moment, so you guys can actually see the screen, because I'll show you how you need to, things that you need to turn on to be able to do so. There is a program that you use called Warcraft Logs Uploader to do so, but you have to have certain things turned on in WoW to get the logs over there. Most of your teams, if you are on a team, will have logs already put up for you, but if you ever want to log your own, it's definitely something that's good to know.
How did you reset the table to the full fight length after you had zoomed in? Because I never figured that out.
I'll show you. Give me 1 second. Let me turn the browser back up real quick. On the right side is where I'm going to do it. We'll zoom it in.
What you doing out in Valley?
Sitting there because my garrison was causing me to have frame drops for some reason.
Ah.
So as you see, Tara, I just zoomed in. When you want to reset the zoom, you go up here to the top. It's where it says phases. You can push reset zoom. Under this, you can normally also find specific phases if that's what you're looking for. So, like, if you're wanting to just look at stuff in phase 3, you just come up here and you push phase 3. It's going to give you only stuff that happened then. Anyway, back to the other question of how to actually get the logs over to Warcraft Logs. I will show you guys that now. First thing that you need to do when you're in WoW. Hi, Sin. You're right next to me. That's creepy. You need to go into your interface. I believe that's where it's at. It's been a bit since I've actually set it up, so give me just a second to figure out where it's at.
One silly thing. Zolik
Yep.
is in your raid group, right, Balto?
Correct.
I just want to see how bad and terrible I am. Can you put me against his log? I just want to see what I need to do to fix myself.
I can. I will do that in just a minute. I'm trying to figure out where this is. Actually, it might be under system.
I'm assassination though, not combat or sub, and I know he's either combat or sub. So.
Well, that's the thing. You need to assess based off of the spec that you are and the spec that they are. Like, there's no point in comparing different specs because they play differently. That's what it is. Under system, I believe. Yeah. If you go into system, you need to click network, advanced combat logging. That needs to be enabled in order for your logs to actually, I think, get ranks and whatnot on Warcraft logs. There's no point in not doing it. So make sure that you have that selected. And then what you need to do, I'm going to tap quick. You need to actually get the uploader for Warcraft logs.
Did stream just freeze? Or?
Nope, my game will have frozen on it, but you should now see a full screen of Warcraft logs. I will show you guys in just a second what you gotta do.
Okay.
You go to the website, click the install client. You'll need Adobe AIR or Adobe Air. You will also need the uploader. You will click these to download them, and you'll install them. Yada yada. I'm not going to go over the actual installation process with you guys. If for some reason you do have an issue with it, I'm sure Google will be able to help you. You will also need an account, so you'll need to sign up. It's very, very easy to do. I will actually show you my log uploader real quick so you guys can kind of see the interface.